guys, Olivia here, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Today is Friday, August 27th, and I am back for my stitching update. It has been 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you have all been well, and you've been stitching and making and creating all of the things. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. This is a video podcast about cross-stitching as well as quilting. However, if quilting is not something you are interested in seeing or hearing about, I show it a little bit later on in the video, and I let you know in plenty of time that they'll be making their appearance, so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. So how have you guys all been? I can't believe it's already been 2 weeks since my last video, but I feel like that's been pretty typical of the whole entire year. The days just kind of whiz past, and now we are at the final Friday of August. The next time I do a video, Ethan will be back in school, and we will be heading towards the autumn of the year, which I am very, very excited about. The weather here did quite an about face. It went from being hellaciously hot to being in the 70s the past 2 weeks, which I'm not complaining, I love. Still haven't felt the first brushes of fall yet, but I do notice that the trees, some of the trees are starting to change color. The majority of my flowers are gone. I ended up dumping out all the pots, and there's a few like the late summer flowers that are still blooming, but even my black-eyed Susans they'll be done probably in the next couple of weeks. So it's kind of sad. The nursery next door to us opened up, and they have all of the mums and the hay bales and all of that for sale. So I plan on going and perusing and seeing what they have to offer for the autumn season, because I do like to decorate my front porch for autumn. And this year, I don't know if you guys have kind of followed my progress over the summer, but if you're not new here, my wheelbarrow, so all of the flowers around the outside of the wheelbarrow that I repurposed, all of the flowers are gone. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant some mums and see how it goes. I'm excited to do that, but I am a little bit sad that all of my flowers are gone. It's you look out back, or like when I have to take Freddy out to go to the bathroom, and you know, for months and months and months I've had flowers galore, and now everything is just sort of spent, and yeah, they went through their life cycle, and it's kind of sad. But I'm already planning for next summer, so that's always exciting, and I can't wait. My main focus will be, there is a side bed that runs down the far side of the yard, and it's like a break between the field and the yard, and I want to plant some hydrangeas along there. So that's going to be my big summer project next year, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying, you know, trying my hand at gardening, and I've learned a lot. And yeah, I think I did fairly well in making sure that I had stuff blooming continuously. Of course, I couldn't have seen that we would get a very early summer, and that here we are at the end of August, and most of the flowers that should be still blooming are done, or that Hellmageddon roasted a lot of them. And it was just, you know, making sure that they made it through the rest of the summer and they were healthy. And, you know, luckily I only lost one hydrangea. But yeah, I learned a lot, and I'm excited to plan for next year. And yeah, I got a lot of ideas, so hopefully I'll be able to execute them, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in today. I have a lot of stuff to talk about. I have a lot of stuff to show. I have some finishes I get to show today, which I'm super excited about. But before I do, I had a package from the Fat Quarter Shop arrive with a new item that is available on their website right now, and that is Lori Holt's Stitch Card Box. So I'm going to read the little paragraph about the box, because I feel like it'll explain it a lot better than I will be able to. Control your creative clutter with this cute storage box from Lori Holt of BMI Bonnet. Adorned with a colorful print and sturdy metal pull, use it to organize your stitch cards by Lori Holt, cross-stitch fabrics, floss, sewing supplies, or anything your stitchy heart desires. These are available in 3 colors: red, denim, and teal. And I have to say, out of anything that's ever come in the mail, this box was actually wrapped extremely well. And even inside of so it comes inside of a box, and I mean, it's very well protected. Before I show you what the box looks like, on the back of the box it came with, it does have the 3 colors that are available. But the box is so super cute. I love it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with a box this size. Now, I don't collect the stitch cards, but I was thinking you could actually put like recipes and things like that. It does come with an alphabet. This is to organize the stitch card, but you could use it as a recipe holder, or honestly anything. I mean, any sort of organization you need to do. It's quite large inside. So yeah, you definitely could, you could find some fun uses for it. And how cute would it be to have like a little stack of them? Just, it's so cute. So thank you so much for the Fat Quarter Shop for sending me that so that I could show with all of you. And again, if you are interested in Lori Holt's stitch card box, I will put a link to the Fat Quarter Shop's website down below. But thank you so much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending that my way. So right before I started filming my video today, the husband brought in the mail, and there was a package in there from Kathy Firth. Kathy had won one of my recent giveaways, and so she sent me this thank you card. And then she had her husband make the coolest thing ever. She had challenged him to make one for her, and then she had him make one for me. And that is this wooden scissor bee cap. Isn't that so cool? Oh my gosh, it is so beautiful, and it smells amazing. So beautiful. I've never had anyone make me anything like this ever. And I couldn't believe it. And I absolutely love it. It's gorgeous, and I cannot wait to set it on my nightstand and put my scissors in it, because I do stitch in bed typically in the evenings, and this is going to look so cool. I have a little tray, and this is going to look so cool in my tray. So thank you so much, Kathy. Your husband is so super talented. The both of you guys did an amazing job collaborating together. So wonderful. It's so beautiful. Thank you. And Kathy wrote in her note that her and her husband are thinking about making these to sell. And I totally think that they should, because it's gorgeous. I've never seen anything like this ever. So it's just beautiful. So I think that you guys totally should. So I'm going to put all of Kathy's information down below. I'm going to put her Instagram name as well as her email, because she said if any of my friends are interested in one, they can contact her directly. So on Instagram, she is Carolina Cross Stitcher, and then I will put her email down below with her Instagram name. So if you're interested, contact Kathy. These are gorgeous. This is so gorgeous. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, so beautiful. And it smells amazing. I love the smell of wood. I really do. So thank you so much, Kathy. It was so sweet of you. I know I had sent you a message asking if it was okay if I showed it here on Flosstube. I hadn't heard back from you yet. Hopefully it is. But thank you so much. And again, if any of my friends are interested, contact Kathy, because it's beautiful. Seriously, I cannot. It's just gorgeous. Gorgeous. So gorgeous. Thank you so much. All right, let's talk about some stitching. First up is Autumn at Amaranth Hollow. Now, I have to tell you all something. In my last 2 videos, I 100%, when I was done with the 3rd block, I'm guessing it's the 3rd block. I don't think this is the first one. I think it goes 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I was stitching the 3rd block, and I thought, you know what? When I get done with this, I'm going to drop below, and I'm going to work on the one underneath it, because it's not so, there is still a lot of stitching, but there's not as much stitching as these 2 blocks had. So that was my plan. I was just going to drop down, give myself a little bit of a break, maybe a little bit quicker block finish. And then I would jump over and I would do the one next to it, which is, you've got all of that grass, the tree. I mean, there's a lot of stitching going on in it too. And I thought, it'd be very refreshing. Well, I finished the third block. Love how I just love it. I love all of the colors, everything about it. And I know I've had a lot of people ask about sharing the changes that I made. And yes, I will put those all down below. But when it came time to go ahead and pull for this block here, all I could hear in my head is, that is not the right order. You're not supposed to be doing that way. You need to do the one beside it. So that's what I did. I pulled all of the threads and I started stitching the fourth block. I tried to take the easy way out and my subconscious would not let me. So I started this, I think I started, let's see, what is today? Today is Friday. So I worked on this Tuesday and Thursday, and then I will work on it tonight. I was able in 2 days to get part of the border done. I started the tree. I got the outline of the dog and a tiny little bit of the grass. I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count Vintage Country Mocha with the called for DMC threads. I don't think I changed anything of this block except one thing. So when I first started stitching this piece, it was back in 2017. And between 2017 and now, the die lot of DMC 3371, which is what the, I don't necessarily think it's the called for DMC color, but it's like the conversion from what the called for silk is. It is quite a bit lighter than what is actually called for now. And I realized that when I was stitching this block, that the two colors, the border of this is different than the border of these two. So I went and pulled something that I thought was really, really close to this, and that is what I'm stitching this block's border in. So what I'll do is I'll just rotate it down. That way it looks like I did it on purpose and not that it was a die lot issue. Because if I left it, you would be able to notice that that particular block is a completely different color. Because I started stitching this block here, and then I stopped. And I stopped for a little while, and then I remember stitching this block in March of 2018. So whatever DMC 3371 I was using in August of 2017, I had used it all up, and I was using a new skein of it, and it was quite a bit different die lot. So that was also another reason why I decided to go ahead and start stitching this block, because I wanted to make sure that I had matched this border color to what I used here, and I didn't want to forget to do that. So that was also another reason why I went ahead and just stitched the one next to it. So that's the only change that I made, and I can put what it is down below. But at first I thought maybe I had used the wrong color from the get-go, so I pulled the first block and I was reading through the list of DMC, and there's not, the other brown that's called for, it does not match that border at all. So it must have just been a die lot issue. I must have either used an older skein of DMC 3371 or it was a new one at the time, but this was back in March of 2018. And that particular DMC color is one that I use a lot of. Even when I was doing hand embroidery, I used it a lot. So I know that I burned through that skein long ago, because that is a very popular color. And a lot of stuff that if there was a called for brown or anything, that was usually the one that I used. So that's the only change that's going to be in this particular block, unless I run into some other issue. But that also played a big part in the reason why I went ahead and just decided to start the fourth block. But it's okay, it's fine. I'll get through it. I am stitching it 1/2 on 40 count. and I love it. I really do. I am so happy that I picked this project back up and I started working on it again. It's just so much fun. All right, next up is Anne Priest, 1841 by the Scarlet House. And I actually got quite a bit of progress. So I'm almost done. So this area right here is a page by itself. And I think I'm really close to finishing this page. I think there's like a little bit right here, and there's like half of the vine, which I will go ahead and stitch the whole entire vine. And then there's like some motifs underneath here, and depending on how much of the motif there is, I might just go ahead and stitch them all. But I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count caramel by Seraphim Fabrics with all of the called for threads, 1/2. Love it. She's my favorite. She really is. I adore this piece so much. I love stitching on samplers. They just make me so happy. Love, love, love. So part of my plans, and I'll go ahead and talk about it now, during Sampler September, which starts September 1st and runs through the whole entire month of September, instead of starting a new sampler, I thought perhaps what I would do is, you've heard me talk about a morning stitch, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch Anne Priest as my morning stitch during Sampler September, because she would get worked on every single day on average between 30 and 45 minutes a day, just kind of depending. And now that school is starting back up, I will have, because like, let's take these past 2 weeks for instance. I have not stitched anything in the morning this week except this morning. I stitched a little bit, but for the whole this week and then part of last week, I didn't stitch anything during my morning stitch. And that's just because I haven't been sleeping very well. So I get up in the morning and I'm a little bit more groggier than usual. So that's kind of why I haven't yet. But once Ethan starts back to school, I'm going to have that dedicated half hour, 45 minutes to stitch in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I think she's going to come out of my regular rotation during September. It just kind of depends. And then I'm going to see how far I will get on her. I think it'll be a really neat experiment to see how far I can get over the course of September, stitching her at least a half an hour every day. It's probably going to be more like 45 minutes. And if I play my cards right, an hour. So it'll be interesting to see. I would like to know just how much I can accomplish. So we'll see. All right, so next up is Turkey Hollow Farm by Stacy Nash. This is my Wednesday stitch, and I have been working on it with Yvette. And I think that Christy from Crosshatch Quilts is also stitching it with us, and I forgot to check with her before I did this video. I knew there was something I was forgetting, but I think she started it. And here is my progress. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count antique white with the called for threads, 1/2. Now, I don't typically stitch on antique white, and I think the only thing I've ever stitched on white was Brian's stocking. There's various reasons why. I'm always terrified that I'm going to get something on it and I'm going to ruin it, I'm going to spill something on it, bleed on it when I poke myself, And so that's why I typically don't stitch with white linen. Also, I mean, a lot of my decorations, I stitch everything in sort of like the off-whites and the more primitive colors. But there's a reason why I decided to stitch it on the antique white. And that is because on Stacy Nash's picture of her sampler, she has it grunged up with the walnut crystals. And she stitched hers with beige, but I thought, when I first had this, I thought it was a white linen that she had stitched it on. And then after I had bought the antique white, I discovered she stitched it with beige. However, the picture does look like she stitched it on some white linen, and I like how it looks. I like the way that she antiqued it. And so that is kind of the look that I am going for when I get done. And I think it'll be kind of fun to take this piece here, you know, it's very, you know, it's white, and then kind of take it and completely change the way the linen looks so that it does look like it's, you know, aged for 100 years. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to trying that. I've never done where you dye the you know, your stitch piece with walnut crystals. I've always used the Primitive Antiquing spray by Primitive Gathering, so it's going to be a lot of fun to play around with it and hope I don't mess it up. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to when that does happen. But there is a couple of changes. So the original does have a border that goes around the whole entire piece. I have eliminated that. And I've also, the sign that's up here, I've eliminated that as well. And I just decided to stitch the word Turkey Hollow. So I think that's going to save a lot of time. Next up is, so this one had been my morning stitch. I forgot to show it in my last video because I had started it prior to that. I ended up moving it into my evening rotation because I had a couple of days where I needed, you know, to stitch up something. I needed something to stitch during, you know, the evening time. And so I kind of moved it into my evening stitch, and I'm going to leave it there, and I'm just going to rotate it until it's finished. But that is Pineberry Lane, Home Sweet Home. So the reason why I decided to stitch this particular piece is because in my kitchen I have an in cabinet, and I have a like a primitive style candle sconce, and underneath it I thought it would be a lot of fun to stitch up something that's, you know, primitive and then have it right underneath it. And I looked around and it has to be like a certain size, and I just happened to find it on the Pineberry Lane website, and I started it. So this is also on 36 count antique white. It's actually a piece of Turkey Hollow. I was able to use all 3 pieces of scrap that I cut off of it, so that's really awesome. I'm stitching this on 36 count antique white, 1/2 with the called for DMC. And I love it. I think it's really, really cute. There is a place where you put someone's initials, and I think I am going to put my 4 times great-grandmother's initials. And so when I get closer to finishing of that, I will share about her when I get it done. Okay, so let's talk about my plans for September. So obviously my plan is to continue working on everything that I've just shown. But the first weekend in September is coming up, and that is Blackbird Blackbird something weekend. I can't remember what it's called. And if I think about it, I will go grab the hashtag and put it down below. But I think it's just Blackbird Weekend SAL or something like that. Anyway, so I started our lasting friendship with Lauren, Yvette, and Carol. And we decided that we would work on this during the Blackbird weekend. And so that is coming up. And I thought I would show you my progress so far. So I will work on this next weekend. So I will have some progress on this to show you in my next video. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count Legacy linen, I think, with the called for threads, 1/2. And I like it. I'm looking forward to getting back to that. I've been anxious to get back to that, and I'm excited. It's so much fun working on it. The color palette is beautiful. I know I've talked about this before, but it really, really is. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous color palette. It's Classic Colorworks, which I don't typically stitch with Classic Colorworks. I like Gentle Arts, but that color palette, I love it. So I'm looking forward to getting back to stitching that with them. And then I also plan to have a new start. So I made it through the whole entire month of August, and I didn't start anything new. It was very, very hard. especially since, I had finished Liberty's Welcome, and I finished Cherry Hollow, and I finished Jack's House, which is right there. Except Jack's House is my Wednesday stitch. So I guess technically I did start something new in Turkey Hollow, but as far as something like brand spanking new, I haven't started anything. So I think coming up in these next 2 weeks, I have it on the schedule to start Christmas Rose by Blackbird Designs. And from now on, I'm 100% sure I'm going to call it Merry Christmas, because it does say that right here. But it is Christmas Rose by Blackbird Design. I am going to stitch it on a piece of 36 count vintage homespun. And I picked up my piece of linen from Fire Poppies. And this is the called for Weeks Dye Works. So very, very pretty, very, very pretty, very earthy, earth tone, rustic colors. And so I'm very excited. The husband's actually, I showed him this one. I have, there's another one, and then there's Christmas Garden, and I showed him all three of these, and he picked out this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on it, so that way I can hopefully get it finished before Christmas. So I'm excited to start that one, and hopefully I will have some progress to show you in my next video, because I'm pretty sure I filled out all of my calendar, or most of my calendar, at least the next 2 weeks, in my stitching notebook. And I remember writing down Christmas Rose, because I've really been wanting to start that one, well, probably for the last like 3 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And Christmas is an area where I really do need to try to kind of start focusing on, because I don't have a whole lot of Christmas, like cross stitch finishing for around the house. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to clean off my table because it's a mess, and then I'm going to show my finishes and some other stuff. All right, so I went out and I moved all of the cross stitching out and put it on the table, and then this little guy woke up from his nap and followed me out there, so I thought I would grab him and show him really, really quick. And he, of course, is not going to settle down, but here he is. And he got a haircut, and he looks so adorable. I love him. I do. All right. I don't know why. He's like a little kid. You know how you used to want to take family pictures, and then, of course, your child would always start acting up. I feel like that's Freddy. He's totally fine until you're like, hey, I want to take a picture of you, or I want to show you in a video, and then he decides he's not having any of that. So anyway, I think he looks adorable. I love his little haircut. He looks so cute. I mean, of course, I miss his fluffy hair, but what had happened was, because he does have a lot of hair, when, without taking him in and having some of that hair cut out, it tends to mat up in places, and it's impossible to get out. And even with using doggy conditioner and detangler and all of that, it's still, like around his neck, it was just all matted up, and he was kind of a mess. So I think he's a lot happier losing some of that. He seems to just be very, very happy. The hubby thinks he looks like a totally different dog, but I still think he's cute. So I like him. Anyway, okay. Finishes. So I ended up finishing 3 things over the past 3 weeks, and I am so super excited to have all of them done. The first one is Jack's House by Stacy Nash. This one was my Wednesday stitch, and I think I had it finished in my last video, but I have it fully finished today. A little bit about this. So as I was stitching this, my original plan had been to fully finish it into a pillow, and then I would just kind of have it around in the, when I bring out my Halloween and my Thanksgiving stuff, I would just kind of have it tucked in where I thought it worked out best. But then after I finished it, I saw it framed, and I thought, well, I do kind of like it framed. It would be kind of nice to have some more autumn framed pieces up. So I started looking around for a frame, and then, I don't know, I just didn't really see anything, and I just kind of went back and forth. Maybe I should just finish it into a pillow. Maybe I should, try to find some other way to finish it. So I went on Pinterest trying to get ideas, and as rabbit holes tend to go all the time, it led me straight to April's Etsy shop, which is Homestead Needleworks. And so I looked through all of the boards that she had for sale, but none of them quite worked out. They were either way too big, or it was either too narrow or too tall, or not tall enough or not narrow enough. So I just about given up. And then I was reading the description of one of the boards, and it said that if you didn't see a size that you were looking for, contact her because she makes custom boards. So I thought, well, I'll give it a try. You know, I know she's really busy and she can always tell me no, it's not going to hurt my feelings, but she told me she could do it for me. And so she did, and she mailed it out, and it arrived the other day. And within a couple of hours of it arriving, I had it fully finished. So here it is. So this is Jack's house, and I stitched it on a piece of 36 count Confederate gray with the called for threads 1/2. And the board is done by April of Homestead Needleworks. And I love it. I love this. I love it so much. I really do. I love April's boards. They are fantastic. And I definitely know this. I mean, I already have one. I used it for a patriotic piece that I refinished earlier in the summer. And I know that this is definitely not my last board, because I can already see several projects that I have that I'm planning on stitching. I can already see them on one of her boards. So thank you so much to April for making a board for me. I love it. It's so perfectly prim. I just adore it. Love, love, love it. So some of the stats, because I'm going to get asked about it. So I used a piece of mat board, 2 layers of batting, and then I did lace my piece around the mat board, and then I used Aleene's tacky glue and I attached it. Love, love it. Love it. Love it. And so excited to have it out this year during the autumn season. And my next fully finish is Cherry Hollow Farm by Stacy Nash. So I did show this as a finish in my last video, but since then I was able to fully finish it. And here it is. So this particular piece, it does finish at kind of a not a standard frame size, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then Wendy had sent me a message on Facebook and said that she had just purchased some frames, or she has purchased and is purchasing frames from a place on Etsy called The Rusty Roof, and they do custom sizes. So I went on and I looked around, and I decided that this particular piece did need a black frame, but I did want it to sort of have that prim vibe to it. And this particular frame, I believe it was called the Emily frame, and I contacted them and I told them the size that I was looking for, and they made me a frame. It came super fast for being a custom frame. It was not horribly expensive, which I really liked, and it came very well packaged. I was very impressed. I did order mine without glass, but they do typically come with glass. And I did fully finish it myself. I took a piece of mat board, and I get a lot of people who ask me about mat board. So mat board is basically, you know how you get a frame and sometimes it's got a mat in it. That's what it is. It's that material. You can go to Michael's and they do sell it on the floor back in the framing section, or you can ask the framing section if they have a piece of mat board. They typically do, and you can buy it in a big sheet. I usually do buy mine in a big sheet because it just makes things a lot easier and it's less expensive. So I cut the piece of mat board to the size of the frame. I actually cut it to the piece of the cardboard. This is kind of thick cardboard that they put in the frame. You know, it comes, and so it's the frame and then this piece of cardboard. So I measured my piece of mat board to this size, took 2 pieces of batting, laid them all together, and then I laced it. And I think it turned out pretty darn good. I love it, love it, love it. So it currently hangs in this room across the way. I did post a picture in my Instagram stories, but it sits at the top of my quilt rack. And I love it. So I stitched this on a piece of, and I'm going to try to remember, I bet you I forgot, 36 count beige with all of the called for everything. And I love it. I'm so glad that Stacy Nash released this in her Etsy shop, because for a long time it was my unicorn chart, and just to be able to stitch it and now have it in my home, I'm just so thankful that she did. I just love it, love it, love it. And I'm so happy it's finished. And I know I'm probably going to get asked again, because this is missing the J, and it does not have the J. I didn't intentionally leave it off. Is it the J? Yes. And in our English language, we did not have a J until much later on. So that, I'm guessing that's why the J was left out, but I love it. If you are interested in checking out the Rusty Roof on Etsy, I will put a link to their shop down below. I plan on getting a frame for them for Feast of Friendship and quite possibly Liberty's Welcome. I think that I will be able to just buy a standard frame for the Reverend Gordon, but for the time being, I have to kind of like just get it one at a time. So, but hopefully I will have those finishes to show you as the autumn goes on. And then I'm super excited to show you guys this finish here. So you guys watched me stitch this. I guess I started it in the fall last year, worked on it all through the winter, and I finished it in the spring sometime, and that is Olga Stocking by Plum Street Samplers. So I've had this one finished for a while, and it was basically, I had to work up the gumption to fully finish it into the stocking. I finally decided to do it. I just was like, we're doing this because it needs to get done. Autumn's almost here. And so I finished it. And here she is. And I love, 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 love how it finished. And you wouldn't think I would have been nervous making this into a stocking, because I did Brian's stocking. But I think it's just because it's so much bigger, and I really just did not want to mess it up. You don't have a, you know, with Brian's stocking, there was a template. And this one, there's no template, no finishing directions, no nothing. And you basically just kind of had to go it alone. But it wasn't so bad. The hardest part was because I hand traced the stocking and then I cut it out. I know that in the chart you can backstitch. You can backstitch it and then you cut it out, but I didn't want to do that. And it was just easier with a friction pin to go in and just, you know, fill the stocking in, make the shape, and then cut it from there. And here's my backing fabric. So it is the, this is the Civil War reproduction fabric that I picked up months ago. It looks like little eyes, but it's not. I did fully line my stocking because I thought it would be kind of nice to, you know, if I decide to put stuff in it, it would be kind of nice to have that option. I think originally you are supposed to close it and then finish it that way, but I like the idea of lining it. I think it turned out really, really good. I love it, love it, love it. So it's also going to hang in this room. I have a shelf that is across the room. I just need to get a little hanging tab for it, and then it'll hang there during the autumn season. So I'm so excited to have it done. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So this is stitched on a piece of 36 count vintage purled barley with all of the called for threads, 1/2. All right, so a couple more things before I start talking about quilting. I was contacted by Liz Matthews, who is Hello from Liz Matthews, and she'd been working on this cross-stitch project for Needlework Expo. and she'd had a lot of fun playing with colors as she was working on it, and then got the idea to do a collaboration with some of her Flosstube friends to see what colors they would pick out if they were given the same chart to stitch. And that chart is called After the Rain. So this just released at Needlework Expo over, I guess it would have been last weekend. And you can order it from your local needlework shop now. So I had a lot of fun playing with colors, and I tried to find a really cool way of displaying these colors, but it didn't quite work out. So this is my color palette here. So I decided to do mine kind of with a sort of like a prim vibe in mind, sort of like those more, they're not necessarily muted colors, but they aren't like the brights either. Just sort of like a prim color palette. That's kind of what I was going for. Again, I tried to find a good way to display these. You know what I will do is at the end of my video, I will insert a picture, or maybe right now, I will insert a picture of the way that they look all laid out. But yeah, I definitely got a very prim fall vibe-ish with my color palette, and I had a lot of fun playing with all of those. It was a lot of fun, and I had a good time, and I really enjoyed watching Liz's, I don't know if it's the video that she did with her mom right before Needlework Expo, and I had a lot of fun watching the video and seeing some of the other colors that the other collaborators had picked out. So what I will do is I will put a link to all of the other people who collaborated with Liz, so that way you can go see what it is that they picked out for their chart if they were to stitch it. And thank you so much to Liz for including me. It was a lot of fun, and I had a blast picking out all of those colors, so thank you. All right, guys, so in my last video, I did have a giveaway, and I want to say a big thank you to everybody who entered the giveaway. I really, really appreciated it so much, and I also enjoyed reading all of your comments about where you all were from, and thank you so much for playing. The first winner, and that is for Snowballs for Sale by Lori Holt, is Allison Ferber. And I would like to say, Allison, that you spell your name the same way that we spell our Allison's name. And so it's always a lot of fun to see that, because Allison is spelled a whole bunch of different ways. And it made me smile when I saw your name pop up. And the second winner for the Granita cross stitch is Lucia Bowmeyer. And I hope I said that correctly. So congratulations to both of the winners. I will comment on your comments, but if you could get a hold of me via email, that would be great. I will put my contact information down below in the description box, and thank you so much for playing. So this video also has a giveaway in it, and so this is how, I already had a giveaway planned, but this chart got added on right at the last minute because I was looking for Olga Stocking. I had put the pattern away, or I thought I had put the pattern away, and I went in and I was looking through my Plum Street charts, and I discovered that I had two of the same charts, and that like never ever has ever happened to me. So it definitely made me laugh out loud, and that is Plum Street Samplers John and Abigail. So this will be number 1. And number 2 is the After the Rain chart by Liz Matthews. So she sent me a second copy of it to offer up as a giveaway, but as an added bonus, I am also going to give away the threads that were my collaboration. So you will get the chart and my DMC conversion. That's what we'll call it. So you'll get the chart and my DMC conversion. So that will be number 2. And thank you so much to Liz for sending me the chart so that I could give it away in this video. So the question that you're going to need to answer is, what is your plans for stitching in September? Are you going to participate in Sampler September? Are you going to participate in another SAL that's going on? Is there like an autumn SAL? What are your plans? My plans, of course, will be to continue working on everything that I showed, Star Christmas Rose, and then Stitch on and Priest as my morning stitch for Sampler September. I've never participated in Sampler September, but I don't really think there's any cut and dried rules. I think you can just kind of stitch on whatever sampler you would like. So I'm excited to do that this year. So I just like to know what your plans for September are. And if you can leave that down below in the comment section, that would be great. And then just put whether you're interested in 1 or 2 or both, but you need to make sure you put a number, either 1 and 2 or just 1 or just 2, or that way, because that's what I search for. And it will help, it'll help me make sure that you get the correct chart that you would like to win. Of course, you must be a subscriber, like the video, and that's about it. And again, thank you so much to everybody who played along in my last giveaway. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to reading all of your comments on this particular giveaway. So as far as all of the cross stitching goes, that is it. I'm going to start talking about quilts next, so if that's not something that you want to hear, this is a great stopping off point. And of course, I'll be back in 2 weeks. And I hope you have a great one. And if you want to see what I'm working on in between my videos, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, or my Facebook page, which is Pumpkin Hollow Quiltings. And thanks so much for stopping by. And now for the quilts. All right, let's talk about quilts. So you might have noticed that the quilt hanging behind me is not my red sampler quilt that I showed finished in my last video. I did have every intention of buying some backing for it and quilting it and then hanging it up. But between the quilt machine's repair bill and Allison's birthday, and then of course our dishwasher went kaput, it was just kind of an expensive month. So I decided not to buy the backing fabric for it yet. I will next month, but I didn't think it was a good idea because, let's be honest, backing fabric, especially on a larger quilt, it's not cheap. So I will next month. And then I don't know if you're going to see it hanging, because my plan is at some point in September to start decorating for Halloween. It won't be in my next video, but there's a possibility it could be in like the next one after that. And there just wouldn't be any time. But I do plan on buying some backing fabric for it, but it didn't seem like it just was not a good time. So anyway, but thank you to everybody for all of your kind comments. I absolutely love my red sampler quilt, and I inspired a lot of you guys to make one for yourself, and that is awesome. So I can't wait to watch your guys's come to life, because it was a lot of fun. And Lori Hull just has the best sew along, so I'm glad that she did it and that I was able to participate. It was a lot of fun. I did get a question in my last video, and I noticed when I went in to go pull the giveaway, because I do the random name generator, and the comment actually had come up not to enter it as the giveaway, but it was just a question she had asked, and I must have missed it. I've gotten a little bit behind in going through my comments from the last video, so I hope to remedy that this weekend. But the question was about the Civil War fabrics, and she was wondering, what they are, and like, why do we call them Civil War fabrics? And it's the genre. So they're called Civil War reproduction fabrics because they're based on fabrics that you would have seen on women and men, the fabrics that would have been used for their clothing, for their quilting, the fabrics they would have bought in like their general stores and things like that. It's based on that time period. If you just type up Civil War, you're going to get any war in the world that says Civil War on it, but it's the reason why it's called Civil War reproduction is because those fabrics are based on that time period in American history. So you need to type in Civil War reproduction fabrics. Some designers you might want to check out is Joan Morton, Julie Rothermel, Betsy Chuchian, and there's one more that I'm forgetting. There's like a bunch of them I'm forgetting, but you might start there. Pambuda. Pambuda is a good one. So you might look at those designers' fabric lines, and then you'll kind of get a little feel of like what type of fabrics those are. But it's my favorite. It's my absolute favorite to work with, and I really, really love it. So that's where I would suggest, you know, when you're searching for it, that's kind of what Civil War fabric, that's what I'm referring to. But I do have some quilts, or one quilt at least, that I have been working on over the past couple of weeks. I thought I was going to get it done and have the top to show you in this video, but it didn't quite happen. I had other stuff I was working on. The pattern is from the Fat Quarter Shop. It is a free pattern. It's called Mini Cake Mints, and this is what it looks like. So again, it is a free pattern that is available from the Fat Quarter Shop. I will put a link to it down below. It is very much a beginner quilt. I was just kind of looking for something that I could use pre-cuts with, and that was just kind of like easy, and I didn't really have to think about it too much. I did start it, so I have to make 24 of these type of blocks. The fabric line is Hopewell by Joe Morton, and it did take pre-cut fabrics. I used 1 layer cake and 4 what do they call that? Mini charms. But you could easily use a charm pack and just cut it into 4. But I just have to, I think I have to make 10 more of these blocks, and then I will be able to assemble them. So I'm hoping this weekend maybe I will get a chance to work on them a little bit. I just wanted something just kind of like an everyday quilt, because I use them in my, I mean, you've seen them. I mean, I show them all the time. So I just wanted to find something that was like, I could use it just kind of all the time. I did go to my local LNS. My grandma had a doctor's appointment, and on the way home we decided to stop in, and I picked up this quilt. Or I shouldn't say I picked up this quilt. I picked up this pattern. So this is Civil War Legacies Coffee Beans by Carol Hopkins Designs. And it's a little quilt. So the majority of the fabrics I have pulled from my stash, but I didn't have enough sashing fabric. I probably could have done background fabric, but I saw some that I really, really liked. And then I needed, basically it was border fabric, sashing fabric, binding fabric, and backing fabric. So this is the background fabric that I got, and I got way more than I needed. So basically what's left is going to go into the stash, and I will use it for other projects. This is the border fabric. This is from an older line. And when she was cutting it out, she told me that there was some people who had recently come in, and they had noticed that she had some of this older fabric, and they wondered why she just didn't discount it. And she's like, because people still buy it. I'm still one of the people that buys even the older lines of fabric because I love them. This is one of the sashing fabrics, and this is the cornerstone. And also, so I think I said this was the backing, so this is the border, the backing, and the binding. And then this right here, obviously it's a small quilt, but if you have the stash, which luckily I've been stashing, you just need 12 assorted black scraps that are at least 6 by 6, 12 assorted cheddar scraps that are at least 2 by 3, and then the border fabric. So obviously I have way more than I'll need, but I like the scrappy quilts, and I like this color palette anyway. It makes me happy. So anyway, so hopefully I'll be able to start that very, very soon. I thought maybe I was going to get a chance to work on it over the weekend, but it didn't quite work out. So maybe the next time I record a video, maybe I'll have it done or started. So as for the Temecula quilt, because I know that I thought maybe I would get a chance to make like the next month's block, and I haven't had a chance to work on any of my block of the months. I've only been able to sew a little bit on the mini cake quilt, and that's kind of been it. But hopefully, there's just kind of a lot going on in the evenings or in the day, And I really haven't got a lot of time to work on any of that. But we are going into the autumn season, and when football season starts, I become a football widow because my husband will be watching football games, and so usually Sundays I get to sew. So I will be, that time of the year is getting ready to start. So I'm looking forward to it, because I feel like the autumn is when I do a lot of sewing, because I have a lot of time on Sundays. We don't usually plan to go on anywhere or do anything. And so Sundays are usually the days, because I try to get everything done on Saturday, and then that way on Sunday I can just sew all day long. So anyway, I got my quilt machine back, and before I worked on any client quilts, I threw on some smaller quilts that I was able to like quickly, put together, like a backing and the batting and all of that. I remember I showed this particular quilt top months ago, and this is just a little table topper. I can't remember the fabric line that it's done out of. I want to say it's Walnut Creek, because it kind of reminded me of Little House on the Prairie. I did it in the Broken Dishes pattern, and I know that I don't know if I think I might have done an online tutorial, and that's where that one came from. But in Farm Girl Vintage 2, Lori Holt has a Broken Dishes pattern in there. And then this one. So I can't take any credit for the spool blocks, because they were given to me already done. They were hand done, and they're absolutely gorgeous. They're all Civil War reproduction fabrics, which I love. And I used this as my leaders and enders, and then I sewed it into a quilt top. So it's just kind of a larger table topper, or just kind of a large mini quilt. The border fabric is some that I had in my stash, as well as the cornerstones. And the cornerstones are actually, it's from fabric from this quilt here. So I love it. And then the backing is also with the remnant backing from Cut the Mustard. I just did it in a simple swirl motif, because I was trying to get the hang of my quilt machine. It's a little bit different because she's got a different motor inside, so it's a little bit different, and I almost had a mild stroke because I was stitching a client quilt, and I was just, quilting along, and all of a sudden the machine went dead, and then it came back on, and then half of it went dead, the front half didn't, and I seriously thought I was going to lose my mind. But as it turned out, the cord in the back had come loose. But honestly, I just felt all of the blood drain out of my head. Oh my gosh. So, but I fixed it, and knock on wood, it's been okay. But that definitely, and that came on the heels of the dishwasher crapping out. So I thought I was gonna, that was not a good moment. It was not. All right, guys, that brings me to the end of my video. If you stuck around till the very end, thank you so much. I appreciate it so very much. As always, I will be back in 2 weeks to share what I have been working on, and progress and plans and all the things. So if you would like to see what I am up to in between my videos, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. I do have a Facebook page, which is Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below in the comment section. Otherwise, you can email me. Although for a few days there, my email was, I had people emailing me, and it was bouncing back telling them that it was not the correct email address. I'm guessing it was something to do with Google, but please feel free to email me again, or you can always, instant message me and that kind of stuff on the various social media platforms. But thank you so much for stopping by today. I hope you have a great 2 weeks. Happy stitching. Bye.